Are you crazy? How dare you talk when I'm talking?
Please, I know you were harsh on your ex, but you said you loved me. Why are you harsh to me?
Don't tell me what to do. I deal with my woman the way I like.
The plate shattered against the kitchen wall, 3 inches from my face, and I stood there, rice and stew dripping down the painted concrete, thinking this is exactly what Amaka said would happen. I did not move. I did not scream. I just stood there in my own kitchen, in the house I had helped furnish, wearing the apron I had bought with my own salary, and I felt something inside me crack. Not from fear, but from the weight of knowing. The knowing that I had done this to myself, that I had walked into this fire with my eyes wide open, smiling, thinking I was different. My name is Miriam Adeyemi Balogo now, since the wedding 14 months ago. I am 31 years old. I have a degree in accounting. I have a mother who prayed over me every Sunday. And I have a husband named Tunde who just threw a plate of food at my head because I asked him why he came home at 2 in the morning smelling like another woman's perfume. Let me take you back, because you need to understand how a woman like me, an educated, careful, God-fearing woman, ended up standing in her kitchen with pepper soup staining her wedding gift apron, married to a man she already knew was dangerous before she said, "I do." I need you to understand, because I did not stumble into this. I ran into it. I ran past every warning sign, every red flag, every whisper from women who had been here before me. I ran because I was convinced, deeply, foolishly convinced, that I would be different. It started 3 years before the wedding, on a colleague's birthday party in Lekki. The kind of party where the generator never stops and the small chops never finish, and everyone is dressed like they have money, even when rent is 3 months overdue. That was where I first saw Tunde Balogo. He was laughing when I saw him. That is the thing about dangerous men. They are always laughing when you first meet them. He had a deep laugh, the kind that comes from the belly, the kind that makes you want to know what the joke was so you can laugh too. He was tall, dark, well-dressed in a fitted Ankara blazer, and he was holding a glass of red wine like a man who had been holding red wine his whole life. I noticed him. Any woman would have noticed him. What I did not notice, what I refused to notice, was the woman standing beside him, Amaka, his girlfriend of 2 years, the woman he would later discard like a used napkin, the woman's tears I would one day understand with my whole body. But that night, I only saw Tunde. He asked for my number before the night ended. I gave it to him. I tell you this without shame, because shame is something I have already worn for too long. I gave him my number knowing, half knowing, that there was a woman in his life. Our mutual friend BC had whispered it to me near the drinks table. That one has a babel, serious relationship safe. I had nodded like someone who was listening. I was not listening. I was watching Tunde across the room, watching the way he commanded attention without trying, and I had already started building a story in my head. The story was this: whatever was happening between him and that other woman was almost over. You could see it. They barely touched. They did not look at each other the way people in love look at each other. Whatever they had was dying, and I, Miriam, careful and kind and different, I would be what came after. The good thing, the real thing. This is what we tell ourselves. He called me 2 days later. His voice on the phone was warm and unhurried, like a man with no secrets. We talked for 2 hours. He told me about his import business, about growing up in Ibadan, about his dream of building something real. He asked me questions, genuine, curious questions, and he listened to the answers. Actually listened. He remembered details. The next time he called, he asked about the project at work I had mentioned in passing. "You remembered?" I said, genuinely surprised. "Of course," he said. "Everything you say matters to me." I melted. I am not ashamed to say it. I melted completely. For 3 months, we existed in that in-between space. Not official, not nothing. He was calling me every day, taking me to dinner in quiet restaurants where he knew the waiters by name, sending me voice notes at midnight that made me press my phone to my chest and smile at my ceiling. And yes, somewhere across Lagos, Amaka existed. But I had convinced myself that their relationship was a formality, a thing already ending, that I was not breaking anything that was already broken. Then one evening, Tunde came to my apartment with his eyes red and his voice quiet, and he said, "I ended things with Amaka today." I held his hand. I comforted him. I told him he did the right thing. I did not ask how she was. I did not think about her at all. What I felt was relief, pure, shameful relief, because now the path was clear. Now I could have him fully. Now I would be the woman who got the best of Tunde Balogun, because I had waited, I had been patient, I had been good. I was so stupid. If you are watching this and you have ever loved someone who did not deserve it, stay with me. Because what I am about to tell you is the part I never told anyone. Not my mother, not my pastor, not even my best friend Kemi. Subscribe now so you don't miss how this ends, because I promise you, this story has a twist that will leave your mouth open. 6 months into our relationship, official now, Instagram official, meet the family official, Amaka found me. I do not know how she got my number. I suspect it was BC, who felt guilty about her role in the whole thing. But one Tuesday afternoon, while I was at my desk reviewing audit reports, my phone rang with an unknown number, and when I picked it, a woman's voice said, "Is this Miriam, Tunde's new girlfriend?" My stomach turned to water. "Who is this?" I asked. "My name is Amaka, and I think we need to talk." I should have listened. I want you to know that I should have sat down, closed my office door, and listened to every single word that woman said. She was not calling to fight. Her voice was calm, the tenable calm of someone who has already cried all her tears and now just wants the truth to exist somewhere outside of her. She told me things. She told me that Tunde had not ended their relationship the way he told me, that he had been stringing her along for months before I appeared, making her believe they had a future while quietly pulling away, that the night of the Lekki party, they had argued in the car on the way there because she had found messages on his phone, messages to another woman, not even me, someone else entirely, that Tunde was not a man who ended things cleanly. He was a man who replaced women. Quietly, efficiently, like changing a tire on a road you had no intention of stopping on. She told me he had a temper, that the first time he raised his voice at her, she had excused it as stress. By the time he threw her belongings out of his car on the 3rd mainland bridge because she had questioned him about his whereabouts, she had already lost herself so completely that she sat on the roadside at 11 at night, calling her sister to come and pick her up, and still found herself missing him by morning. "I am not telling you this to be wicked," Amaka said, and her voice broke just slightly, just for a second. "I am telling you because I wish someone had told me. Before I gave him 2 years of my life, before I started hating myself for things he did." I sat at my desk. My hands were cold. The audit report blurred in front of me. And then, God help me, I said, "With all due respect, Amaka, every relationship is different. I hear what you are saying, but Tunde and I have something different. I think you are still hurting, and I understand that. But she laughed, not a cruel laugh, a tired one. Okay, she said. Okay, Miriam, I tried. She hung up. I sat there for 5 minutes. Then I called Tunde and told him Amaka had contacted me. He sighed like a man dealing with an irrational child. She cannot let go, he said. I feel sorry for her, honestly. Don't let her poison what we have, baby. I won't, I said. I went back to my audit report. I chose him over her truth. We got married on a Saturday in April, 2 years after that Lekki party. The wedding was beautiful. 300 guests, a soirée in deep burgundy and gold, a live band that played from 4 in the afternoon until midnight, a cake with 5 tiers that my mother-in-law complained was too extravagant even as she posed in front of it for photographs. My dress was fitted lace with a cathedral train that my younger sister had to carry as I walked down the aisle. I cried when I saw Tunde standing at the altar. He cried too, or his eyes shone with something that looked like tears, and I chose to call it love. My mother held my face in her hands before I walked out and said, Miriam, marriage is not a film. It is a farm. You will plant, you will weed, you will wait, and some seasons will be dry. Promise me you will not give up when the dry season comes. I promise, Mommy, I said. I meant it. I meant it with everything I had. What I did not know was that the dry season was not coming. It was already there, waiting behind Tunde's wedding smile, hiding in the way he gripped my hand a little too tightly during the reception when I laughed too long at something his groomsman said. I noticed the grip. I filed it away under, he is just nervous, and kept smiling. The first 3 months of marriage were not terrible. They were not wonderful either. They were careful, like 2 people negotiating a contract neither of them had fully read. Tunde was particular about things I had not noticed while dating. He wanted dinner ready by 7. He did not like me talking to my male colleagues on the phone after 9. He had opinions about what I wore when we went out. Not controlling opinions. He never said don't wear that. He would just go quiet, visibly quiet, and the weight of his silence was heavier than any argument. I adjusted. I told myself this was what marriage was. Compromise, accommodation, learning each other. My friend Kemi came to visit one Sunday afternoon and found me in the kitchen cooking for the 3rd time that day because Tunde had come home with 2 of his friends unannounced and expected a full meal. Kemi watched me chop onions with tears running down my face. From the onions, I told her, and she sat on the kitchen stool and said quietly, Miriam, are you happy? Of course, I said. Are you sure? Kemi, I am fine. Marriage is an adjustment. You are not married. You won't understand. She was quiet for a moment. Then, I remember what you told me Amaka said about his temper. I set down the knife. Kemi, I am just saying. I said I am fine. She stayed for lunch. She smiled at Tunde. She held me at the gate when she left, and I felt something pass between us, a kind of grief, but I did not name it. That was month 4. By month 8, the plate had already been thrown once, not at me, at the wall beside me. By month 10, Tunde had called me stupid for the first time, then apologized for 20 minutes with a gift and tears that looked so genuine, I convinced myself it was a one-time thing, a rupture in an otherwise solid man. By month 14, I was standing in my kitchen with pepper soup on my apron, watching him walk past me like I was furniture. It was Kemi who found out first. She called me on a Wednesday evening, and her voice had that careful quality it gets when she's about to say something I will not want to hear. Miriam, I need you to check something. Instagram. Search the name Folake Adeyemi. Who is that? Just search. I searched. The profile was semi-public. A woman in her late 20s, beautiful in the way that makes your stomach hot, with a feed full of restaurants and vacations, and one photo posted 6 weeks ago of a man's hand holding hers across a dinner table. The man's watch was visible. A Casio edifice, steel band, black face. Tunde had that watch. I had bought it for his birthday. I sat down on the bedroom floor. I scrolled further. There was a story highlight labeled Us, and when I clicked it, it had expired, but the thumbnail, God, the thumbnail showed enough. A restaurant I recognized, a corner table, a smile I knew. I called Tunde. He did not pick up. I called again. What? He said when he finally answered. Background noise, music, laughter. Where are you? With the boys. What is it? Come home, Tunde. Miriam, it is 9 o'clock. Come home. Something in my voice must have told him, so the background noise shifted. He said something to someone and then his voice came back, lower. I'll be back later. Don't wait up. He came back at 1 a.m. That was the night I asked him about the perfume. The night the plate flew. The night I stood in my kitchen and finally stopped lying to myself. Because as I stood there staring at the rice sliding down my wall, I heard Amaka's voice in my head as clearly as if she was standing beside me. I am telling you because I wish someone had told me. And I heard my own voice, bright and setting and unbearably smug. Tunde and I have something different. We did not have something different. We had the same thing, the exact same thing. I had watched him do it to her, told myself it was her fault, told myself I would be better, love him better, handle him better. And he had simply done it again, to me, with the same ease, because it was never about us. It was always about him. I was not the woman who got the best of Tunde Balogun. I was just the next woman. I did not live in a dramatic storm. I want you to know that. Because in films, the woman always lives in a dramatic storm, bags packed, door slammed, rain falling outside. Real life is quieter and harder than that. I left on a Tuesday morning. Tunde had gone to work. I waited until I heard his car leave the compound, until the sound of the engine faded completely. Then I sat at the kitchen table, cleaned now, the wall wiped down, and I called my mother. I told her everything, every single thing. The plate, the perfume, Folake Adeyemi, Amaka. The years before the wedding, when I had known, half known, and chosen not to know, I told my mother, who had prayed over me every Sunday of my life, who had held my face in her hands and asked me to be strong. I told her that I had failed at the one thing she raised me to protect, myself. My mother did not say, I told you so. She did not cry or shout or call Tunde names. She was quiet for a long time and then she said, Miriam, a woman who knows when to leave is not a failure. She is wise. Come home. I packed what was mine. I was methodical about it. The accounting books, my certificates in the blue folder, my grandmother's wrapper, the one I had brought from home for safekeeping, the photographs of my parents from our living room wall. I left everything Tunde had bought, the shoes, the jewelry, the handbags. I left them arranged neatly on the bed like a receipt. Then I did one more thing. I found Amaka's number in my old call log, the call I had received that Tuesday at my office desk 3 years ago, the call I had dismissed. I stared at it for a long moment. Then I dialed. She picked up on the third ring. Amaka, I said, this is Miriam. You called me once, years ago. You told me things I refused to hear. I am calling to tell you that you are right about everything, and I am sorry for not listening and for what I was part of before. You deserved better. You deserved someone who told you the truth. There was silence. Then, are you okay? I said, I will be. Good, she said. And the word was simple, but it carried the whole weight of what women carry when they survive men who are never worth surviving. I put my bags in my car. I drove out of that compound without looking in the rearview mirror. 3 weeks later, Tunde called to say he wanted to talk, to work things out, that he had changed, that he was seeing a counselor, that I was his wife before God and he was not giving up. His voice had that warmth in it, the belly laugh warmth, the 2-hour phone call warmth, and for exactly 4 seconds, I felt it pull at me, the old pull, the familiar one. Then I thought about rice sliding down a wall. I thought about Amaka on the roadside of the 3rd Mainland Bridge at 11 at night, missing a man who had just thrown her out of a car. I thought about the woman I had been, certain, foolish, standing in another woman's pain and calling it a stepping stone. Tunde, I said, take care of yourself. I hung up. This is not a story about a villain. Tunde was not a monster under his bed. He was a man who had learned that women would accept whatever he gave them if he gave it with enough charm. And we had both taught him that. Amaka had, I had, every woman who had looked at his Ankara blazer and his belly laugh and decided that she would be the one to fix him. Nobody fixed him. And I am done being a lesson. My name is Miriam. I am 31 years old. I am an accountant. I have a mother who prays for me every Sunday. I drove home on a Tuesday morning with my certificates in a blue folder and my grandmother's wrapper in the back seat. And I have never, once, not for a single day, regretted it. The only thing I regret is the Tuesday I put down the phone on a woman who was trying to save me. Amaka, if you are reading this somewhere, you tried. That counts for everything. And to every woman standing in a kitchen she no longer recognizes, watching a man treat her like a stranger, hear me. You are not different from the last woman. You are not less than her. You are not the reason he is the way he is. He was always this way. The question is only whether you will be the last woman he does it to. Choose yourself. Not tomorrow, today.